Hey, everybody. I just want to let you know that Culture, Faith, and Politics has just started a new private Facebook group for our listeners. And it's a free group, obviously, and it's called Culture, Faith, and Politics Community. So you can find a link to it on our Culture, Faith, and Politics Facebook page, or if you search for it by name on Facebook. I've sensed the need for a group like this for quite a long time now, and we can finally do it now, specifically because of our paid YouTube channel members and our subscribers on Substack. So thank you to our members and our subscribers. Your support is making it possible to bring in someone to manage this Facebook page and this new private group. And so here's what the group is about. For years, I've heard that many of our listeners are feeling alone. For instance, every day I hear from people who are troubled by the relationship between their churches, for instance, and the MAGA movement. And I hear from people who say they feel surrounded by maybe friends and family, coworkers, or even fellow church members who just aren't seeing the same things, or if they are, they aren't adding things up the same way. And it's hard to find someone to talk to. So first and foremost, I just want this private Facebook group to be a place that helps people to feel a little bit less alone. So if you feel like you've been cast out into the wilderness because you just can't get on board with the MAGA movement, then I think you're the type of person that this group would serve well. I want it to be a place where people can encourage each other, maybe think out loud a little bit in a safe environment where you're not going to be shouted down, and where you can learn from other people who share similar concerns. I also want it to be a place for people to share helpful resources. For instance, people often ask for recommendations for a church in their area, or for good books. I hope we're recommending books to each other and discussing them. Or maybe people contact me sometimes to look for volunteer opportunities. So they'll ask me about organizations in their area that are doing good work serving vulnerable people. And I don't have the capacity to learn all of that, but I think we as a group can help each other with all those sorts of things. So this group is a way for people to help each other in all those kind of ways that I've described. So here's what the group is not. It's not going to be a place for debate. It is a place for genuine discussion, asking questions, challenging people in a good way. That's fine. That's a discussion. But it's not going to be a place to try to convince anyone of anything, because there's plenty of that sort of debate in the comments on all the videos and kind of all over social media. I think what's needed is a place for people to actually feel heard and supported, a place for encouragement, place for learning, but not for arguments and not for putting people down for their beliefs. And it's also, I should just say this, it's not going to be a place to try to sell anybody anything, none of that. And it's also not a place for evangelism or for correcting anyone's theology. It's open to believers in any religion or in no religion. Because ever since I started doing this work, I've thought that the things that I'm saying ought to be non-controversial from a theological standpoint. The controversy comes in how we apply our beliefs to life in a complex world. And I've talked with people all over the religious spectrum on this channel, from non-believers to people who practice very different faiths from my own. And what we share is a set of core beliefs about how people ought to act in the world. And in my case, I've been pretty hard on my own tribe when they reject some pretty clear teachings of Jesus and when they've chosen worldly power and wealth and prestige instead. But the things that we believe about our engagement in the world and about our involvement in the political process specifically, I think those things ought to be non-controversial, because we're talking about things like honesty, integrity, justice, care for the vulnerable, that sort of thing. So regardless of someone's theology or belief in God or not, those things, I think, ought to be universal, those values. So in the same way that this channel tends to be more about application than specific theological disputes, that's what I hope for the Facebook group as well. The channel is about calling people to live by the most basic principles of your own belief system, whatever that is. I'm calling people to be consistent with their principles. And I'm coming at it from a specifically Christian point of view. But I think these principles transcend just my specific corner of the Christian world. And so I want this Facebook group to help people to live in ways that are consistent with their own values and not to have their beliefs attacked. So by receiving encouragement, I hope, and resources from like-minded people across the religious spectrum, and all of that, all of those things that I want are why I waited to start this group until we could provide a moderator for the group. So if you do witness any behavior that goes against the goals of the group, please go to the members list and find the admin account and drop us a line and let us know that. So those are some of the things not to do, but what's important is what the group is for. It's to encourage one another in the journey, to help us all to feel a little bit less alone, and to share resources and knowledge to help us all to be more effective as we each try to build a more just society while staying true to our own core values and beliefs. So please consider checking out the Culture, Faith, and Politics community on Facebook, and thanks for listening.